Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, do me a huge favor and subscribe to my channel so you never miss a new video by me. Also, take a second and give me a huge thumbs up to let me know that you like this type of video. Today I'm sharing with you a $1 Crockpot meal. Now, I go by meal per serving because if I am sitting down to eat a meal, I am one person, my husband, etc., etc. So it will cost more than $1 total, but per serving, or what I call a meal, is $1 or less. I'm creating a couple series here on my channel, and I talked about that last week, but this is another one. I wanted to do $1 meals, and I also want to do 5 ingredients or less meals, just to kind of give myself some ease when it comes to my own meal making. So today you're going to see $1 Crockpot meals. If you did not catch last week's 5 ingredients or less meals, it's a one-pot meal idea, and you're gonna really want to watch it because I shared 2 awesome recipes, and I'll link that down below. You'll see a playlist for that and a playlist for these $1 Crockpot meals, which I made last year in the fall, and I thought, you know what, it's perfect time to pull my Crockpot back out because I have an insanely crazy busy week. So you're gonna see a video today, and then you're gonna see another video later on this week with $1 Crockpot meals as well. So make sure your notifications are turned on, and like I said, you are subscribed because you're not going to want to miss it. But without further ado, no more chatting. Let's jump into today's recipe. Time to talk ingredients. So I am making a taco, bean, and rice soup, and I just actually took the ingredients that I have on hand. I didn't take everything from the Pinterest recipe. I'm just adapting. I will leave the recipe linked down below if you want to check it out. I adapted it to a crock pot versus a one-pot meal, but if you don't have a crock pot, you can use one pot. And then I just want to share with you what I'm using, but give you some substitute ideas as well. So I'm using 1 cup of long grain rice. You could use wild rice, you could use lentils, you could use brown rice, literally anything you want, but I have white rice on hand, and that was in the recipe, so I'm using that. I'm also using tomato paste. The recipe originally calls for salsa. This is just a cheaper way to get some tomato flavor in. If I had an onion, I would add it. I don't have an onion on hand, so we're just gonna use a little bit of tomato paste. I also am gonna use, I had to find it, this vegetable broth. I actually got this at the dollar store. Now it is higher in sodium, so I won't add any additional salt. You can also rinse your beans and get less salt. Currently, I am on a diet, if you will, that I have to eat a lot of salt. So this is actually perfect for me, but if you don't want to do something so salty, do something else. Just do a vegetable broth of your choice. I always have homemade vegetable broth on hand, but haven't made anything in the crock pot in a while, so I currently did not make any or feel like making any. It's just one of those weeks. So anyways, I'm adding this along with other seasonings, but if you want to cut back on salt, you can do that any way you'd like if you're not supposed to get a lot of salt in or don't like to get a lot of salt in. As for the beans, the original recipe does call for black beans or pinto beans. I have neither on hand that are not dry beans, and I really just want to get this in the crock pot, so I'm not making anything ahead. I do have 1 can of pinto beans, but I'm going to use chili beans for extra flavor, kidney beans, and instead of corn, which the recipe calls for, I just have mixed vegetables, so I'm going to use this. In total, I have $2.90 worth of canned products, and I'm using about $1.50 worth of rice. And then if you include like the other seasonings as well, that's kind of how I added that in, the rice plus the seasonings. In total, my ingredients cost me $4.40, and that would be if we each ate 1 serving, it would be about $1 per meal. I'm gonna stretch this into 5 servings, so it'll be a little less than $1 per meal, but I give myself some leeway because obviously I have other seasonings and yada yada. So this is the lineup for today. Everything's going in the crock pot. It's gonna sit in here for 4 hours, and then it'll be just in time for lunch. I'll put the additionals into the refrigerator once I let them cool, and then we'll have leftovers for the week. I think that this recipe would be so good with lentils and rice and taco seasoning. So let me know down below how you're going to make it. Are you gonna make it with beans or lentils? I think either one would be awesome. So I'm doing 1.5 cups of rice. We're gonna do 2 cans of chili beans. I want the additional flavor. You don't have to do this. They're the same price for me at my store as regular beans, so I kind of like that. And then as far as these beans, I'm gonna rinse them. I don't like these beans since they're not flavored unrinsed or undrained even, but you can leave that in there if you want to because of the rice. It's really just personal preference. Like if you don't like a certain flavor, add something else. This is a really flexible meal, and that's one of the things I like to do when I cook is have a lot of flexible meals, so I don't have to buy the exact ingredients. I can find a recipe and then adapt it to what I have on hand. So that's what I like to share here. Sidebar, this can opener is so old. We got this the year we got married, so it's 13 years old. And I've always thought I need to get a new one, but it still works, and everybody convinces me every single time that there's nothing like the old pieces. They don't make things like they used to. So even though this thing from time to time gives out, I did take a piece of aluminum foil and like clean it up a couple months ago, and I need to do that again. It was really, really helpful to like sharpen it and get like some of the rust off. So this is my old faithful. I brought my crock pot over here because I don't want a bunch of stuff spilling on my floor when I carry it to the counter. Just makes it easy. Cooking with a crock pot, I always forget how easy it is. I should use it more, but I really just use it in the fall and in the winter. And technically it's not fall here, but school started, so I feel like it kind of is fall. Okay, we're all rinsed. I actually brought my crock pot over to the counter because I didn't want to carry this across the kitchen and get drips all over. I forget how easy it is to cook with a crock pot. It's like the easiest thing in the world. So we have this going, and then let's make some broth to go in there. I like to leave the rice on the bottom and then stir it about once every hour. You can do it however you like, but I find that's the best way to cook rice in the crock pot with other ingredients. All right, I'm just taking this recycled jar, and I know this is 3 cups of water because I pre-measured it out a long time ago, and I like to keep this one on hand. And we're going to add some of this powdered broth. It's kind of like a bouillon, like a vegetable bouillon. It also has a lot of flavor. So we're gonna do like a 1.5 tablespoons, and then I'll do 6 cups of water. I am not going to stir this yet. I'm gonna let it cook for an hour and then stir it so the rice really gets cooked quicker. This crock pot also cooks so much faster. Sometimes I forget, so I'll set it for 4 hours on low, but it could be like 2 hours on high. Keep an eye on, you probably know your crock pot more than me. I'm just not good at crock pot temperatures, to be honest. But for rice, for whatever reason, sometimes it cooks faster and sometimes it cooks slower. So I'm gonna put it at 4 hours on low. Tomato paste. I love tomato paste because of how much rich flavor you get. So I'm putting about 3 tablespoons in there. I'm also gonna add some minced garlic because I have it on hand, and I already included it in my cost. Sometimes I do homemade taco seasoning. Today I'm just going to add this. This is 1/3 of a packet. Again, already included in my cost when I added my seasonings with my rice. And I'm just gonna let this sit on the top. And again, I'll stir it in an hour once I come back and check on it. This smells so good. I also made the mistake once of locking these in a video. So if you watch that video, it's linked down below in the other crockpot videos. And people are like, no, you don't lock it. So if you ever have locked it, I see people on TikTok and Instagram do it all the time. I didn't realize it was for traveling. Again, I just didn't know. But I guess if you lock it, it can create a lot of steam and then your lid can blow off. So don't lock those. All right, so I'm putting it on low for 4 hours. Again, this crock pot gets really, really hot, so it might take a little less time than that, but the last time I did rice, that's what I marked it as. So I'll check it at the 1 hour mark, 2 hour mark, 3 hour mark. You don't have to. Obviously, you can just let it go, but I'm home and I wanna stir the rice to make sure it turns out perfect for me. I'd love to hear down below what's your favorite thing to make in the crock pot. Truthfully, you might be surprised, but my absolute favorite thing to make in the crock pot is bread. Yes, I've made 2 different breads. I'll link those videos down below. I know I keep talking about them, but I have a lot of crock pot ideas already here on my channel, so check them out if you haven't already. But I love making bread in my crock pot. I think it's the simplest, easiest thing in the world. We did a pumpkin bread last year and apple bread, which you do not have the recipe for. I may have to make that here soon. And then just a traditional loaf, like a white loaf, so good. and soup. Now, I feel like everybody makes soup in the crock pot. You'll have to let me know what's your favorite recipe. Just leave it down below. You don't have to type out the whole recipe, just like what you like to make. Because I would really love some ideas for this coming winter and fall. This is looking so delicious. I actually just stirred it. I'm gonna leave it. I know the thing with crock pot meals is you can just like leave them and forget about them, but I just personally can't if it's a new recipe. This smells so good. So it still has 3 hours left. It's definitely gonna take about that much time on low. You can put it on high if you want to, cut some time back, but yeah, it smells awesome. Okay, that soup is so good. It took 2.5 hours on low, which doesn't really make it an easy all day crock pot recipe, but that's okay. You can throw it in the afternoon or just get it ready for the day and then start it when you get home. I don't know, but it's really good. It has a little hit of spice because that taco seasoning from Trader Joe's. I hope you give this one a try and check back later this week for a new crock pot $1 meal video. See you then, bye-bye.